stop. Before you even consider moving on, before the next click, let this thought settle deep in your mind. What if the truest sign of mastery in any language isn't how fast you can chatter, but how effectively you can command the void? I'm talking about silence, audience. The terrifying, beautiful, intentional space we deliberately leave before the most important words. We are conditioned to fear that gap. It's the sound of the internal clock screaming, "Error! Input missing!" We are trained in language learning to believe fluency is constant noise. But I'm here to tell you that the most sophisticated communicators, the true masters of English persuasion, treat silence like a precious, loaded commodity. They don't fear the void, they fill it with intent. We are diving deep today into the art of silence, the strategic weaponization of the pause. We're moving beyond the simple, polite comma pause and focusing on pauses that fundamentally change the entire meaning of what you communicate. Think of it this way. Silence isn't the absence of data. It is the most powerful delivery system for subtext. Subtext. That's the hidden layer that separates a functional English speaker from a truly persuasive one. A native speaker knows that if they pause before saying, "I'm okay," that single pause transmits the entire unspoken history of why they are not okay without them ever uttering a single unnecessary explanation. It is the nonverbal footnote to your main text. Let's give you your first practical taste of this control. I want you to try saying a simple phrase, very casually. "That's interesting." Say it quickly, dismissively. Now, I want you to load that exact same phrase with the weight of profound skepticism. We'll use the one-beat wait, a clear 1001 count right before the actual words land. Go ahead, try it with me. Say it now. "That's interesting." Did you feel the tonal shift? Without changing a single consonant or vowel, you've turned a neutral statement into a mild intellectual challenge. You forced the listener to reevaluate their previous statement simply by controlling the space before your response. That's power. That's conversational authority. This technique is almost manipulative in its effectiveness because it forces the listener to feel the need for their own pause. Now, let's move to a slightly longer application, the pause for deliberation. This is for when you need to sound thoughtful, not just hesitant. If you're asked about your 5-year plan, you shouldn't just reel off bullet points. Never. When you pause for deliberation, a solid 2-3 seconds of stillness, you are broadcasting intellectual control. You are signaling this isn't off the cuff. This statement has been considered. Try answering this question for yourself. What is one thing you've stopped doing recently that has significantly improved your quality of life? When you paused initially before answering, that silence wasn't you searching for the word email or reading. It was you mentally scanning the landscape of your recent past, identifying the most impactful change, and preparing to present it with gravity. That is the professional edge. Fillers like or like are just static noise. The intentional pause is a signal booster for your intelligence. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. I've always struggled with making longer statements feel natural. When I try to speak slowly, I start sounding unnatural or pretentious. How do we integrate these pauses into a flowing narrative without sounding like we're reading ancient poetry? That's where the breath structure comes in. Think of your sentences like musical phrases. The pause isn't random. It occurs precisely where the natural human breath would occur to separate main ideas. We need to deliberately insert these breaths where our learner brains usually just shove everything together into one long, exhausting run-on thought. Try reading this example quickly. Because the market shifted suddenly, we needed to pivot immediately, which meant retraining the entire sales force on the new software interface. Read it fast. It feels tense, right? Now, use the natural breath pauses to structure the thought. Because the market shifted suddenly, we needed to pivot immediately, which meant retraining the entire sales force on the new software interface. See the difference? The second version is infinitely easier to say and critically, infinitely easier for the listener to track. You're structuring the information for them before they even realize they need the structure. Now, let's elevate this. Let's talk about the echo of the unsaid. This is advanced technique territory. This is for the emotional climax, the truly memorable line. This requires holding the silence long enough that the listener starts to feel the weight of what you just said before you deliver the final thought. We need a longer decay time. This is the moment in a debate where you land a massive point, or in a story where you deliver the twist. You have to let the previous statement land on the audience's consciousness first. Try this. Deliver a setup, then hold a 4-second silence, let the tension build and then dissipate, and then deliver the resolution. Setup is, after years of trying to fit in, I realized the only authentic path forward was to completely stand apart from the crowd. Then deliver the resolution. And you know what? That isolation wasn't lonely. It was finally peaceful. That second sentence hits with 10 times the force because the audience was left hanging in that silence, processing the weight of that initial realization. The silence made the word peaceful the only thing they could hear in their minds. That is the echo. That is advanced rhetorical control in conversational American English. It removes the need for cheap emphasis. You don't need to scream the important word, you just silence everything around it. Let's contrast this power with noise. Think about a negotiation. Someone says, "I can't possibly agree to that price." The old habit is to rush in defensively. But why? We could maybe do a little less, stop that. The new habit, using the pause. I can't possibly agree to that price. Tell me what the absolute final figure you need to make this work would be. That 2-second silence completely owns the room. It signals, I have heard you. I am not reacting emotionally. I'm waiting for the real number. It forces the other party to fill your silence, often revealing their true position sooner than they intended. This reframes the interaction. We need to pause to reveal advantage, not talk to gain it. Finally, perhaps the most philosophical application, using silence after receiving criticism. This is tough but crucial for emotional maturity. When someone delivers harsh feedback, like your presentation was disorganized and too long, the first instinct is defense. Stop that defensive justification. Employ the echo of the unsaid here too. Hear the criticism. Take a deep breath. Hold a 3-second silence. Then respond calmly, having processed the data. That's fair feedback on the structure. Thank you for pointing that out. Next time, I will condense the analysis section. That calm response, anchored by a moment of self-control achieved through silence, is instantly more credible than any defensive outburst. So, audience, the message today is simple but profound. Stop running from the quiet moments. Start curating them. Your silence is not a gap in your speech. It is the carefully constructed frame around your best ideas. Practice the one-beat wait. Use the pause for deliberation and master the echo of the unsaid. Let your words land with impact because you gave them the necessary space to breathe. I want you to start this journey today. Every time you feel the urge to say just breathe and wait 1 full second. Let that silence speak volumes about your control, your confidence, and your fluency. It's the most powerful thing you can do with your English. Go out there, be intentional, and remember, sometimes the most profound thing you can say is nothing at all. Keep practicing that control, and I'll catch you next time here where we explore how to make your English feel truly alive. Until then, take a moment. Just breathe.